Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Keys to Flex. I'm here to talk to you guys about the new Helldivers title update, Devoid of Liberty. It's been out, I think, like 2 days now, and I just wanted to give kind of first thoughts and impressions. I may update this video just based on something you guys will talk about here in a second, but I just kind of want to go over the patch highlights and everything. Just kind of talk about my experience with the new stuff and everything. So I kind of just, want to get right into it. So big thing, of course, new Illuminate enemies. Biome full of fresh horrors await is kind of what the patch highlights there say. But my thought on it, they kind of feel almost more like, vampire aliens at this point, especially with that wretch enemy. It's the small guys with the little blades for arms. I did not realize that, especially at first when I was playing, shooting them in the head does nothing. It does kind of disorient them, but they'll just start swinging their arms wildly. They will not die just kind of hitting them in the face. So apparently taking out the arms and the appendages is supposed to be the best tactic for them. They're not too bad on their own, but definitely in numbers they can kind of overwhelm you. I'll talk about some strategies I was kind of using later in the video, but with them, just numbers, kind of like the mindless masses, they can and will overwhelm you. So definitely something full auto is a little bit better for them. The other enemy, the Crusher, obviously I see a lot of people equating them to the Skyrim giants, and I think that is so true. The club is literally the same shape, and just the way they can be intimidating, definitely gives off that same vibe. At first, they were probably the most frustrating enemy to me, and especially with some of the numbers that they spawn in. I definitely noticed, I could see 30, 40, 50 on my screen during certain Illuminate missions. Some of them not that bad, but definitely overwhelming numbers with them. But they're honestly not too terrible to deal with as long as you don't let them be bullet sponges. Just expose the helmet. I feel like ballistics aren't as good. Definitely fire and other things are, good to deal with them. Explosions, obviously. All the new gear really works on them super well. But, they will kind of almost not teleport to you, but they will definitely do that quick attack on you, so they can kind of catch you off guard. They're not as slow as they look, although they can be. They kind of just stand around a lot of the time, but once they catch you in their sights, they definitely kind of come after you, and they can be a little bit sneaky. I do think, and this is just a general complaint I have with the game, the volume and all the audio stuff, it's been a little bit buggy and weird in some instances, and definitely with a lot of the bigger enemies. I don't think they have that audio presence that they should have, because they can definitely creep up on you a lot more than they should. We'll say kind of some of the noises they make are really funny. It almost sounds like they're laughing at us a lot of the time. Next thing that they talk about in the patch highlights is the Siege support. I think that is honestly the coolest part of this patch. I really feel like it feels a lot more like a war zone with all of the Siege around helping. Having the different variations of Siege I think is really cool too. I like that we're adding interactions like stimming with them and emoting with them. I hope they just continue to add to that. One of my buddies was like, dude, I wish I could swap guns with him. And I'm like, you know how cool that would be, that you could just walk up to a Siege and be like, hey, I'm out of ammo. Give me your gun. I think that would be a really cool thing to add. And just with the in-game universe, Siege would 100% give their weapon to you. So I think that would just make all the sense in the world. Also it adds to the game. A lot of times what they do is there's a little bit more in-game announcements from Super Earth. And I think that also helps to add to the whole lore and just how the game feels. I really like that. And they're announcing, when they're dropping off Siege, when the numbers get too big. I think that's a nice little addition that kind of came hand in hand with that. For the level cap, as you guys can see, I'm only level 152. My buddy who I play with, probably the highest levels in the low 200s, but clearly a lot of XP needed to get this. It's really just titles, so I think the goal for them is just to give people that super far away goal. If you hit level 300, and you're complaining about not having more levels, you've put 2,000 hours in the game. I think you need to chill, right? But adding that, it's just nice. Also, expanded emote slots, having 8 of them is also really cool. I've added some of my favorites in there. I just like that I don't just have 4 that I go through and then just a random one. I like just flexing on somebody and doing push-ups sometimes. So that's nice. Of course, with the addition of the Siege emoting, I think that just all adds to the fun and the flavor of that. The War Bond, of course, next. We'll just kind of look at that and go over all the different things so I can talk about them. I have unlocked pretty much all the weapons now. I did just get this gear here. I'm just going to get the kind of helmet and the cape to match eventually and then just kind of clear out the rest of it. To start with the Hotshot Marksman Rifle, I think a lot of people have said this, but I really think this is going to be a heavy automaton weapon, just the way it feels. I love the punchiness of it. It really has just such good, like, feedback. With the PS5 controller, definitely like, enhanced vibration on that. That feels nice. The sound feels nice. Like, and it definitely packs a punch. Not my favorite because of those, I think, wretches. They just overwhelm you. And to me, just the ammo economy without the armor passive that adds more bullets, it definitely just leaves a little bit to be desired for them. But I think it's really good for a lot of other enemies, and even like appropriators, it could be good for, or just regular Illuminate. It's just with those small guys with big numbers, like even mindless masses, I wouldn't use it on. But I think this is going to be an amazing bot weapon, or you can, supplement it with a support weapon like a stalwart to kind of help with more of the chaff and stuff. So I like it. Not my favorite weapon in the War Bond, but I think it's a really good addition. I'm not the biggest Warhammer fan. I meant to, preface that, but I'm happy with everything, but I definitely see where people are a little bit frustrated with it, just to kind of preface. Onto the armor, though, I love this passive. I think this is something that a lot of people are sleeping on, because I have seen some people on Reddit being like, it's not that good, but then I do see a lot of people saying it's like the best one. I think it's really, really good. I mean, I was thinking even when they announced this, the only armor that really added that ergonomics increase was the one that added melee damage. And if you're not running a melee build, I feel like you're kind of wasting an extra little armor perk passive where you could just pick something else that you can fully benefit from. This also increases the reload of your support weapons, which I think is really nice. I think this is really going to help with like the auto cannon, of course, some of the heavy machine guns and stuff. Like, really good armor passive. I think this is a good one to have. I'm not a fan of the price, just to kind of preface this too, of the legendary war bonds. I mean, 1,500 super credits is egregious for the amount of content we get, because it's about the same as every other war bond, if not less than sometimes, especially considering you can't customize any of the weapons. All that being said, really good passive. I definitely suggest getting this war bond, as it is really good. I grinded for the super credits. I'll talk about I have another video out there, my thoughts on the PlayStation Matter, but I'm not giving them any more money, so I'm not going to do, fortunately, any more microtransactions on PlayStation, and that means I will not be buying anything from that for Arrowhead to support them. But I'm thinking about getting the teddy bear plushie, and then if I ever get the game on PC, I will definitely support them that way and start buying some of those old war bonds. But that being said, grind for the super credits, get this one. This one's really good. Onto the more of the weapon stuff. Bolt pistol, probably the highlight of this for me. I think it's just a really good secondary. It just feels so nice to use. It punches really hard. A lot of people have said this. I feel like this is what the Senator should have been. I'm also disappointed with I like the Verdict a lot still, but it definitely doesn't feel like a Desert Eagle. This feels like it really packs a punch. I think it could be just a touch punchier for what it is, but I like it. I like it a lot. Really helps with the crushers to get the mask off and to finish them off. And I definitely need to use it on some other fronts, because I think this is going to be a multi-front gun. Like, it's going to be good for everything. For the Meltamines, these are kind of just fun. I do like the ability just to kind of throw them behind me, and they just do a fuck ton of damage. So they're really good for anything big. I think these would be good for automatons, obviously good for this Illuminate faction, the new one. Appropriators, I think it'll be really good for too. Obviously one way you can use it is shooting it. That's how a lot of people are dealing with fabricators and stuff. So even just throwing it behind you and shooting it is also just really cool. So definitely something I'll use sometimes. Probably I'd still love the sparklers. Like, I don't really use anything other than that, but definitely something that when I'm fucking around, I want to play with, fun to use. Obviously the heavy armor version, I mean, same thing as the other one, really good armor passive. Nice to have it for heavy. Would love to have it for light, but I'll be honest, I haven't run light armor since like the game came out. I really prefer the medium and heavy armors. So really happy to have at least those two. And then I like the camo capes. I meant to mention this. Like, just having a regular camo cape without any other design on it is just kind of nice. Onto the Melt-A-Gun. This one's another favorite. A lot of people are saying this is way too OP, but like you kind of see in the clip there, you have to get close to the enemies for it to really like pack a punch. And in the hectic aspect of Helldivers, sometimes that's not always easy. So I think that is like an element of balancing in and of itself. I just remember when I can't remember what they're called, the big elephant enemies the automaton have. I remember people saying, you just got to walk up to it and throw the grenade in the hole in the back. I'm like, yeah, that's easy to say when there's one of them, but when there's 5 of them in an area, when they used to be a lot more overtuned, and there's so many of the other cyborgs around, it's not just easy to walk up behind one and throw a grenade in the hatch. And especially when they fucking turned around like an owl and blocked it with the face. All that being said, you got to get close for it to really work, but it's super nice. Like, I was using it even just to destroy the drop ships for the Illuminate. Just get the shield off, and then 2 rounds of that will destroy the drop ships and everything. So with that being said, obviously this is going to be good for like chargers, maybe not bile titans, or like, you know, the drop ships for the automatons and stuff, the big walkers. But for everything else, like the tanks, the hulks, the obviously the new crusher guys, the chargers, like I said, this is going to be great for that. Impalers, this is going to be great for. You just got to be careful. You just got to get close and just shred them with it. I know obviously for Warhammer fans, this is a really cool thing to have, but for me, I just think it's a great gun. I hope to see more stuff like this in the future. It kind of goes over the whole war bond situation there. There's a couple other things that I need to kind of read over here in the patch notes, things they've adjusted. I haven't messed around with as much of this stuff, to be honest, because I've really just been focusing on using like the very obviously like new content. But I will definitely try and use this stuff on the new missions we'll talk about here in a second. But for the first thing that I had kind of seen on here is the Gator upgrades. Super Earth engineers have replaced the engine and transmission in the Gator in favor of a much more powerful Super V48 Interceptor engine, has improved speed and handling. So that's always just nice to have, just better handling. The Constitution now has stripper clips. I think that's really cool. I do not use the Constitution at all, but I would love to try that out at some point. I know people were talking about like the stripper clips with that other pistol that just recently came out. I think just adding that to the Constitution is super cool. The assisted reload rework, this is definitely something I need to get with the gang and, you know, try out a little bit more. Something a lot of people have been asking for, so I want to kind of see it in action. I did see a comment like on Twitter or on Reddit somewhere that, you know, made a lot of sense when it comes to this. It's, you really have to rely on teamwork. I mean, obviously it was a little bit harder because you had to coordinate with your teammate to bring the same thing so you could reload for each other. But even with this addition, it's obvious it's not overpowered because you have to get your teammate to commit to coming and helping you. And especially with randoms, that's usually not going to happen. Most people aren't going to just kind of go out their way to help you with the assisted reload. So communication and everything's really key. I like adding changes like this that really enhance that. I do think that is one of the best features of Helldivers, is the stuff like the Galactic War, the stuff that the community's involved in, having all the players kind of come together to do things. That's really what it's all about. It's not all about just the gameplay like a lot of people seem to think. There's a whole nother element to this. Like if you want to go play another horde shooter, you can. Helldivers is all about the community element. So I think a feature like this has been, you know, well requested. I am glad they're listening to us in this regard. I'm not one of those full-on Arrowhead haters or Glazers. I kind of fall in, depends on what's going on at the moment, how I feel about what they're saying, what they're doing. Obviously communication's been shaky in the past, but it is in a place where I feel like I'm okay. Stuff like this is just proving that they are listening and that they are changing things at our feedback. And I think we just need to be a little more patient sometimes when it comes to the things they're doing. I had a tweet about this, but my whole thought is I don't need more content. I need more quality of life updates like this. I need more bug fixes, more performance patches. Give me those kind of things, and then sprinkle in a little bit of content here and there. Even like balancing, which I don't know how much work that takes versus new content. That to me just gives me a new opportunity to use more weapons. I'd love more of that than even just new content at some point. We have so many war bonds out right now, so many different things to unlock. Give me a little drip feed. I don't need a whole war bond. Give me a new vehicle, a new weapon like they're doing, a new armor like they're doing for these major orders. I think all this stuff is really great. Just definitely adds to the replayability for it. So for balancing, there's a couple things that they've talked about in here, and I do like that they talk about the intention aspect of it. Let me just read here real quick. Want to make it easier to find specific weapons, so updated icons. I don't really care about that as much. It is kind of nice, especially for new players, I'm sure, just having those icons to further talk about the differences between things. One thing I did want to highlight, and I don't really want to have to get in the ship to do this. Maybe I can go over here to the ship thing. With the supply pack, or not the supply pack, it's right next to the supply pack. With the frickin' C4 pack, I was pitching about this last night because I just wanted to use it, and I think the way it works is really fucking stupid. I don't even know if it's going to show up on here because it's in a war bond. let's see. But essentially, you have to pick up the trigger, and it treats the trigger like a support weapon. So they have it in the backpack slot, and even though they have the word support weapon with it, oh, there. Okay, so it will show up on here when I get down to it, I guess, because it has them all broken up. Yeah. So it says support weapon and backpack. It also says anti-tank and sticky, just all the little features of it. This one just says backpack. This one says support weapon and backpack. But when you look at the like actual picture, like the backpack is in the picture with the C4 versus when you look at the maxi gun here, it has a little backpack symbol as well as the maxi gun. I think that's how the C4 image should work, because you need to have the support weapon. You can't really run a support weapon with the C4 pack like you should be able to, because you have to carry that trigger around with you. So to me, it works more like the maxi gun than it does like the hot dog, you know? So little nitpick about that specific change right there. So sorry to go on a little tangent, but just one of my frustrations. C4 pack fucking sucks. Hill I'm willing to die on. So yeah, there's that. Decreased heavy landing duration. Want to make heavy landing feel like you receive from a high fall. So I haven't had to deal with this much. I've been playing on the cities. I think this is definitely much more of a problem when you end up on a mountain when you're dropping in on your hell pod, when you can't fucking steer it ever. I hope they just need to fix that. I could do a whole video about the whole dropping in hell pods, that whole situation, but it happens more on those type of matches. So for me, I haven't had to deal with this yet, but it will be a nice little change, you know, to be able to like not just ragdoll as you dive off of a high fall, and then it feels like you're worthless, you know, as soon as you hit the ground. You got to wait 5 seconds to get up. So really nice change there. The intent was obviously to make it feel better, decrease the duration for the heavy landing animation by around 40% is what they said. The stem action input smoothing. I actually didn't really think about this while I'm playing, but just kind of retrospectively reading this, I definitely noticed a change. It was a pet peeve for me hearing the stem sound and not getting the stem. I remember there was a patch where they fixed that, and then like 2 patches later it broke. And this is a common problem I do have with Arrowhead. It's they fix things and then they break things, and then they don't go back and fix the things that they said that they fixed that they broke again. And this is a perfect example of that they finally have kind of come back around and done that. This is definitely could have been more in the like bug fixes section, but this is definitely like something that should have always been the case, and something that is so much better now having had this element. So just they changed the stem input is remembered, kind of like the reload animation. So it really just means that if you hit the stem button, as soon as you can, you're going to stem, which is so great, because I feel like you have to fucking spam up on the D-pad sometimes when you're trying to get a stem off, because you keep getting, you know, flinched by enemies. So unflinching helps for that, but either way, that obviously nice little change. Ammo rebalances for the short magazines, attachments, and secondaries. So this is really funny. I run the short mag on everything. I'm the first person to be like empty my magazine and reload, so I have a full mag. Like that just kind of goes back to Call of Duty days. As soon as I finish a firefight, I reload, and it's a habit I try to break for this game and am a little bit better about in this game. But having more magazines to me means I waste less bullets. So the fact that they said that the benefits of short magazines are too few compared to drum magazines is so funny to me. I don't play like everybody else, I guess, but anyways, cool little change. I'm benefiting from it greatly. And then I do need to use some of the more sidearms. I do think it really kind of helped with the verdict, because I'm pretty sure they added more mags to that. They did to the SOCOM pistol. They did to the Redeemer, which I think is super cool. I've always thought the Redeemer is really great, and having any buffs to that. And then the SOCOM pistol I really liked. I think more mags definitely helps. That puts it honestly kind of more in line with the verdict, and a little bit kind of like the starting pistol too. But I'm going to go over all the primaries. So stripper clip for the Constitution, we kind of talked about. Short magazines for the Liberator, penetrator, concussive, carbine, suppressor for the AR-59. I think they're adding those, I guess. And they so they increase the spare magazines from 12 to 16 and increase starting magazines from 7 to 9. So just more mags in general is what it looks like. Short mags for the Defender and the Pummeler went from 9 to 12, 6 to 8. Stoker got more. I was using the Stoker last night for those guys because I've almost got it leveled to 25, or actually I did level it to 25 at the very end last night. So that's very nice. It means I'm probably done using it, but quicker reload on that too. Definitely, that feels better. Breaker and Breaker Incendiary got more. I definitely have been using the Breaker Incendiary. I have it at level 20. I'm trying to max that out. Definitely reminiscent of the early Helldiver days when that was OP as fuck. And then Spray and Pray got more mags, which I'm a fan of the Spray and Pray since they've changed it and balanced it a little bit, but definitely need to use it some more. Napalm, my buddy was using Napalm last night. Definitely feels better. It has like a more punchy explosion and more spread out bomb pattern. The anti-tanks, the idea is they're increasing the demolition strength. I think that's always nice. They should definitely feel stronger. I felt like the anti-tank mines kind of sucked. Like when I brought them for appropriators, like I felt like it did nothing. So adding that is nice. I think the anti-tank mines definitely are not in a great place. Hunters can now hit FRVs. I think that was just a bug. I mean, obviously I don't love that, but whatever. I hate when the enemies get buffed, but give me more of a challenge. I'm fine with that. The game's pretty easy, honestly. The Veraciter, holding a ballistic shield could create a clipping issue, or the arm of the Veraciter could merge with the body of the Helldiver. They fixed whatever that was. And then a bunch of bug and crash fixes kind of after that. So all that being said, I'm enjoying the new patch. I think it's really good. I put a little tweet out on Twitter. It's like I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Really fun new patch. Love the new enemies. Love the new weapons. I was kind of talking about strategies. I mentioned that earlier. I'm just going to kind of go over some guns here and just talk about what's good for the new stuff. Like SMGs are really good. I think anything full auto is good for the chaff enemies. Obviously, these aren't going to help you much for any of the bigger stuff, but like the crushers. But for the small guys, mindless masses, like this stuff is obviously really good. I'm going to kind of just go back up to the top because that was the last gun I had equipped. ARs, obviously all very good. I'm always a big fan of the Liberator Penetrator and the Liberator Carbine. That's like my favorite gun. Coyotes, obviously, I'm sure that's really good. Tenderizer, probably really good. Less ammo economy is probably not good. I don't really like the pacifier either. You don't really need medium armor penetration. I think light is perfectly fine for these guys. I think with the marksman rifles, something like medium is definitely going to be a little bit, you're going to get maybe a little more use out of, because at least then you can maybe get I can't remember if the mask on the crushers is what the AP is on that, but definitely better. I think the hyena would obviously be the standout here, or the sensor if you want to run some sneak stuff. But I mean, just farm some headshots with this and you could definitely get some use out of this. I think Deadeye could be really good. I like the Deadeye. It's kind of fun to use. Submachine guns, obviously, I kind of already talked about. These are all really good. I'm a big fan of these two, obviously. The Reprimand's also really good. The Gallant's obviously really good. Pummeler, the Stun, I mean, they added more bullets to it with the Defender, both of these, but these are definitely kind of lower tier than these other ones up here. I've always liked the Stall, but hot take, I don't like using the weapons too long after they come out in the Legendary War Bonds because I can't customize them and I can't level them up, so I just don't like using them as much. I like leveling up all my weapons. Shotguns, really good too. I mean, I would say all of these, but I would definitely say Breaker Incendiary, Breaker Spray and Pray, regular Breaker. All those probably the best rather than the pump action shotguns. Like I'm sure Cookout's pretty decent. I'm sure Sweeper's really, really good too. Breaker Spray and Pray definitely I was talking about this with my buddies. The duck build that it comes with is really nice because it's more that flat spread. So on city maps, and especially for these new enemies a little bit lower to the ground, it's really nice because you can kind of clean sweep an area with all those enemies being at the same height versus more of a tight circle spread on a lot of other shotguns would benefit you more on more terrained maps, and definitely like enemies you want to hit in center mass or hit in the face. You definitely want more concentrated shot, but duck build's really good for this, I think. So any shotgun you can add a duck build to would really be good. Eruptor, obviously, I think best primary in the game. I don't use it a lot because it's OP, but you use it for everything. Explosive crossbow, I'm sure, is pretty good, especially for dealing with the crushers, like getting the helmet off and everything. One-handed always helps for running and stuff. Punisher plasma. So for energy weapons, I think obviously the full auto ones like the Dickle's really good. The Sight's really good. I tried the Blitzer and we actually ran a little bit of arc last night. I would definitely suggest the arc thrower over the Blitzer because of just the way it does a little bit more damage and the way it arcs better. But I mean, Blitzer wasn't bad. It definitely kept the small stuff off your face. Trident's really good for this. I like the Scorcher, but that's more of kind of like a bot weapon for me. Obviously, Torture's good. Variable's maybe not good for this. Unless you're just trying to take care of the big guys with it. And then I think Dominator would be decent for the bigger guys, but again, I don't really know the AP on that. Full auto secondaries I think would be really good. Like the Redeemer's probably really good. The Warrant's probably really good. I've been using the Verdict to check out the changes. Melee, Melee might be fun. I need to try that out, actually. I think melee would be good for the small guys. Obviously not good for the big guys, but would be kind of fun melee in them. The fact that they're melee enemies may not go well for me, but, you know, we'll see. And then I think gas and fire, really good. Obviously anything to keep the guys off of you. Kind of talk about just support weapons real quick. Autocannon's good. I wonder how good the Wasp is. I bet the Wasp is pretty decent. Grenade launcher's decent. The de-escalator was decent. Obviously any flamethrower thing I think is going to be really good. Any of the LMGs will be really good. Laser cannon, definitely a highlight for me. You can get anything with the laser cannon on the new patch. Same kind of with the scythe. So again, overall, really fun patch. I've yapped for 25 minutes, which is kind of insane. So I'm going to probably end it here, but hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, like and subscribe. I'm going to try and do maybe a few more of these than I used to, especially for Helldivers, because I play this game all the time and try to come, you know, for all the patches and stuff. So definitely want to do at least little update videos, just give my little thoughts on this, just put it out in the ether. So anyways, hope y'all have a good one. Peace.